Okay, we are back with another episode of A Life by You. We've got
Yeah.
me, Miss MJ, and Jennifer. And
Hi.
today we are going to be talking about all about communications and relationships. So, we're both married. We both got our wonderful husbands.
We do.
And yes, but we both have talked about how the communication could just be off sometimes. And I'm sure whether you're married or not, or dating or wherever you're at in your relationship situation right now, it's complicated or whatever. I feel like communication is like always an ongoing thing. I don't want to say it's an ongoing issue, but it's like always an ongoing thing.
Well, it's the key. It's the
Absolutely.
key to a successful relationship, friendships, intimate relationships, any type of relationships. It has to be about communication.
Absolutely. Yeah. Communication is, as you said, the key to everything and to any relationships, not even just, someone who's your lover and whatnot. But definitely when it's someone you're in love with or you're dating or whatever and expecting to build this relationship, it can get a little complicated and funky. And I feel like, especially with this damn pandemic, it's
Oof.
just really tested some folks. I mean, I know I have felt tested with my
Yeah,
communication.
girl. My husband travels 4 days out of the week, and now he's home 7. So when we were like, "Oh my God, our relationship is like so perfect and it's all working out," it was like, "Oh, we only spent 3 days together." But we are good. We are definitely good. But no, I agree with you. The more time you spend with your loved one, the more you're going to see what gets on your last nerve.
No, I agree. And then I think it's also interesting because then, I mean, you change over time, you change. You can't
Yeah.
expect your companion to stay the same either. So you're changing, they're changing. Your communication expectations and style can also evolve. But then at the same time, some things just also stay consistent. Like Zell, one thing that happens in our relationship, and I know we've kind of talked about this, is he hates he hates being interrupted. And I'm like, I'm just flowing with you. Like when I talk to women, we interrupt each other and it's not like, girl, you interrupted me. It's like we're flowing, we're going back and forth or whatever. But for him,
Yes.
it's just like, I wasn't finished. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you paused. Like, I thought that was an invitation. Like, I wasn't trying
Girl.
to talk over
Yes.
you.
Yes. Yes. I experienced the same thing with Mark. And it's like, I interrupted? No, I'm just trying to like give positive reinforcement or, throw in an extra word here and there. I totally
Right.
agree with you. And Mark and I have the same issue. Legit. Like we've gotten into like literally a screaming match because he was like, "You interrupted me." And I was like,
Oh
"Dude,
my
no, I
God.
didn't. No, I did
Girl,
not."
because seriously for me, like I'm like, you think I'm that rude? Like you think I can't have a conversation with you? like what
Yeah.
the hell? And again, it's just like I
Oh
just
my
find it so
God.
funny because again, it's just like I wasn't interrupting you. I was just having a conversation. Like you
They don't
paused.
know how to
Like
do
you
that. They don't know how to do
n-
that.
no, and
You,
I really do wonder where it comes from. Like
yeah,
I really
they,
wonder
they
where it
they
comes from.
totally communicate differently. And I read several books when I was single and I was trying to figure out what the issue is with men and what am I doing wrong. And I remember reading the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Hmm.
And it is very true. They think differently, they process information differently than we do. And
Hmm.
so that's where the disconnect happens. Um, I know I have expectations of my husband, and I have to remind myself and my other girlfriends. They're like, well, he should know that by now. And even I say that, well, he should know that by now. He's been with me for 5 years. He should just know. Girlfriend, they don't. And
No.
I've talked to other women, and their biggest complaint is, well, I shouldn't have to tell my husband that I would like XYZ for my birthday. It I get it, girls. I understand. We want our men to be kind of like our girlfriends, and it just doesn't work
Hmm.
that way. We want them to think,
No.
oh, my wife would like this. And it just doesn't work that way. So I have found in the relationship with Mark that I have to be very direct as to what I want. And at first it was annoying and I didn't like to do that. But once you get practice into it and you see how they respond and the response is really actually positive, you're going to understand, okay, all I got to do is ask
Right.
and they'll do it. Versus you're going to save yourself a whole lot of trials and tribulations and anguish because your husband didn't do what you wanted him to do on your birthday or on Friday night date night. You're going to
Mhm.
save yourself if you're just like, "Hey honey, you know what? I think it would be really cool if our next date night we go to XYZ restaurant." You put it in his head and he'll execute.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you 100%, especially on that first part. We want our husbands to be like our girlfriends, but they're not. They're not. They're our husbands, they're our partners or whatever for reasons. That's why you got your girlfriends, and then that's why you got your man.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, they're just not meant to be the same. It's just a completely different dynamic and a different relationship.
Yeah.
Um, and therefore, with girlfriends, they can sense things, like, girl, you a little off. You
Yeah.
okay? You know what I mean? They really can pick up on that. With men, it's again, you got to be very deliberate, like very straightforward. They are not reading in between the lines. They don't even see the writing on the freaking wall. Like you have to spell it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I will say this. They can be, and I hate to use the word trained, but they can be trained. My husband definitely understands my energies. He understands when it's
Mm,
about to be PMS time. He understands
mm,
when, okay, she might have had an off day. He has now learned to read kind of my signs of what
mm,
I'm giving out, and he'll address it. Hey, babe, you seem a little off today. Is there something
mhm,
going on? And I'll be
mhm.
like, okay. And then I feel like that's my opportunity to be like, unload.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
this is what's going on. Da, 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 da. Yeah. So it just depends. Some men are better at picking up cues, and then there's some that just will never get it.
But I think at the end of the day, I think it's important that we understand with any relationship, people can't read your minds, and especially your husbands, especially
Yeah.
your boyfriend, your partner. They just cannot read your mind. And so therefore you have got to be sometimes you need to be deliberate. Like it's great if someone can really be in tune with you. And I feel like that sometimes takes time because again, you're going to change. The
Yeah.
different things that bother you can ebb and flow and everything. Um, the other thing that I was going to mention is, when you do unload, at least for me, we again we've talked about this also, but when you unload, sometimes they want to fix everything, and it's just like that's not why I was unloading. Like that's not why I was
Right.
sharing what's going on up here in my head. I was just trying
Right.
to vent. I don't need you to fix it.
They don't
I was
know
just
what
trying to
they don't know
talk.
what to do with that. No,
Yeah.
they don't know what to do with
So
that.
they're so solution oriented. And it's just like sometimes I just need a sounding board. I don't need you to fix it. I'm gonna figure it out. I just need
Right.
to talk about it.
Yeah.
So Zell's got, I don't know if I shared with you, but Zell's gone through this whole like coaching thing. It's really, really funny. He's like become this, not a certified life coach for something. I don't know. So our joke
That's
now is all,
cool.
I know it's great, but then I'm like, don't coach me. Like,
Oh, he's
like,
trying to learn he's using what he learned on you. Oh,
right.
that's hilarious.
Well,
I
I
love it.
mean, he's in the army, and I'm like, look, I'm not one of your soldiers. Like, no, 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 I'm your wife. No, I am not one of your clients. Like, you ain't got no clients yet. But
Yeah,
I'm
I
just like,
understand. I
no, no, no,
understand.
no, no, no. I'm your wife. But I also had to recognize this happened over the pandemic. I was getting very, almost, I would say jealous. I had to tell him this. I was getting jealous because I was stuck in the house, not doing a
Oh,
damn thing.
yeah.
And here he is. He's thinking, oh, it's great. You could stay at home all day, but like that gets old really quick, at least after a year. And here
Yeah.
he is. He's traveling because of the army and all these other, his
Yeah.
job and everything, and still going to business meetings and things like that, to the bar and blah, blah, blah. I'm not doing none of that. So when he comes home, I want to unload or bounce things off, and again, he wants to fix it, and I'm like, that's not what I don't need that. And it clicked for me one day. This was over the summer. I was like, first of all, I think I'm jealous because you're doing things.
Yeah, he can
Two,
actually live a life. Yeah.
right. Two, two, I was like, you're not one of my girlfriends. So I don't even know why I got this expectation in my head that you're going to feed back and forth with me and just like hear me out. That's not
Right.
your role, anyways. Like, that's not that I married you to fix it, but that wasn't ever your role in the first place. And here I was trying to shift what I've been missing, being
Right.
around folks.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of call myself out. And I was honest with them. I was like, I think I'm jealous. And then I think I've recognized I've been trying to make you have a different role in our relationship, and that's not fair to you. So, and I
Right.
literally said to him, I said, I need to hang out with some girlfriends. I need to be very intentional with that time and stop talking to you about all everything in my head
Yeah.
because you don't need to
Yeah.
know all of that. Like,
He's like, okay, so what do you make it make sense, Mallory? What are you saying
right,
right now?
right, exactly.
You're like, I'm just
Seriously,
venting.
yeah, I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm just
no.
talking.
Yeah, I can also relate to that too. With Mark having been traveling and doing all that, and I was at home holding down the fort while he was out and about meetings and stuff. Yeah, I probably was getting very irritated because I had definitely a life of before I met Mark. You know, I had a career and all kinds of other things. And moving to Vegas, I decided, okay, I'm going to be a stay-at-home wife, mom to Kennedy. And then when Milan came along, I was watching Milan all day while Kennedy was
Hmm.
finishing school. So everybody else was doing what they wanted to do, and I was stuck in the house. So I
Girl,
completely can relate to what you're saying. So yeah, you could start disliking your spouse really quick if you feel like you're not living your purpose and doing what you want in life. You can then look at your partner and be like, "This is your fault," and take it out on them, which is
exactly. And it really, yeah, it really isn't fair. You know what I
no,
mean? It really isn't. And I think part of it recognizing, like, hold on, this is not even about you. This is about
right.
me. So what I can control? I can't control you. You never can. I don't think you can ever control your spouse. Or
Do you
whatever.
want to though? Ugh.
Right, right, exactly. But some people want to do that. I That's not.
Well,
Mm-mm,
they
I
don't
don't
need to
have
be in a
time for that.
relationship. It's about mutual respect, not about control.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I hear you.
But yeah, I think overall I've just recognized it's helped me have a better relationship with him, understanding you can't read my mind and you're not supposed to be one of my girlfriends. Like, we have completely different roles and boundaries and an
Yeah,
understanding between one
yeah.
another. And then our communication flows so much better. I mean, everything in the relationship just works better
It just
when
flows when you're honest.
right, when you understand the dynamic too. Because again, I think some people really put this pressure on their partner to meet them at a certain level, and I think that that's a bit unfair.
Right. It is. It's very unfair.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to share a very funny story. It happened like maybe a month ago. So my husband was picking up my daughter from work, and he calls, and he normally calls and says, "Hey, do you need anything? Do you want me to pick up anything on the way home?" And I'm like, "Okay, yes, no, whatever." On this particular day, I was like, "No, I don't need anything." And so he's like, "Okay, cool. I'll be home." So the clock's ticking. I usually know what time they're going to get home, 30 minutes usually after they call. And this day is like 45, 50, like an hour. And I'm like, well, what the heck happened? Right. So he walks through the door. Well, Kennedy walks through the door, of course. And then Mark walks through the door and he's carrying all these groceries. And I'm like, what do you mean? I said, where did you go? And he was like, I went to the grocery store. And I was like, and you didn't call me when you got to the grocery store to tell me you're going? He
Right.
was like, and we did. I lost it. I lost it, y'all. I was like, the common sense thing to do would be to call me and be like, "Hey, I stopped at the grocery store. Do you need anything from here?" Because my thought process was he was calling me and saying, do you want me to stop anywhere to pick up
Right.
anything? And going out of his way to do it. So I was thinking, no, I don't need anything. Of course, I need stuff from the grocery store. Every mom needs stuff from the grocery store. So if
Always.
you would have called and said, hey, I'm out of Albertsons, I would have told you what I needed. So that was a huge learning lesson for the both of us. So he now asks a different way. Hey, I'm going to stop at such and such. Do you need me to pick up anything? And then if he's saying, I'm going to, do you need anything? And I always ask, are you planning on stopping anywhere?
Mhm.
So now we've covered all bases. But
Yep.
girl, that literally turned into a huge argument. My daughter was in the kitchen laughing. She's like, really, mom? It's not even that deep. But at that moment,
Just wait. Just wait for her. Just wait. She don't
it
even know
was,
yet.
she don't even know. Exactly. Oh, hello. But I was so mad. I was like, and okay, I had to laugh at myself later. Did it
Right.
really need to come down to that? No. But in that moment, I was heated. So,
No, but I feel you because there is a difference. Me, hey, do you need anything? No. I mean, if you just checking the check, no. But if you're
right,
gonna stop,
right.
check in, ask me, because I'm always gonna need something from the store. I'm always gonna
Yeah,
need something. And those are two different
yeah,
questions. Hey, I'm at the
exactly.
store. Do you need anything? Or
Yeah.
hey, I'm on my way home. Do you need anything? Two different questions.
Two different things.
Two
But
different things.
he
So
didn't
I
understand that.
no, they don't. And Zell and I have had similar instances because he'll walk in the house and I'm like you said, I'm like, you stopped at the store. He was like, well, you didn't say you said you didn't need anything. And it's just like, I
Yeah,
mean, but you didn't tell me you were going. It just sounded like you're coming straight home.
yeah,
So yeah, we've had very similar instances where it's just like you one is just like you should have read my mind.
right,
I
right.
know, but what we,
Yeah,
like we said,
you should
you
have
can't
known better.
expect that. You should have known better. Like, didn't
Yeah.
I train you better?
They don't. They don't know. And so, but that was a learning moment, I'm sure,
Yeah.
for Zell. It was a learning moment
Mhm.
for Mark. And so now
Mhm.
he knows. So I think the bottom line is to women who feel like my husband doesn't listen to me, doesn't hear me, doesn't communicate with me. You might be not communicating correctly. If
Mm.
you've developed a pattern of a certain way that you interact with your significant
Mm.
other, you may have to undo that,
Mhm.
because when they say communication literally is the foundation of a relationship, that is no lie.
No,
And
there's.
yeah, I'm just grateful Mark and I are really, really transparent with one another, and we don't
Mhm.
tiptoe and all that stuff. We really came into the relationship speaking our piece, speaking our truth, and being transparent. And I think
Yeah.
that a lot of people, depending on what phase they're at in their relationship, may not have started off like that. So correcting certain behaviors and patterns is going to be a little more challenging. Whereas for him and I, we're just learning each other, is what I think
Mhm.
it is.
No, and
So,
I think it's a continual learning curve. And I think it's just
mhm.
having the expectation that I need to be transparent with you, I think on a continual basis. Like Zell and
Yes,
I have now been together, are we going on? Oh gosh, I can't do them. But we'll be together for 10 years or 9 years married and then 13 years. So we're coming up on almost 13 years. It's crazy.
wow.
And things definitely, I am not the same woman that he married almost 13 years ago. Not
No,
the same woman. And so, and he is not the same man. There's some things that
right.
have been consistent between the two of us. And we'll joke, like, you should know this by now. You should know me by now, but it's tongue in cheek. It's tongue in cheek, but things have evolved so and then when you have kids, completely shifts. I saw a
Oh my
whole
God.
I told my mom. So when I had Lucky, and granted, Zell had kids before Lucky. I saw him with Cheyenne and Jason, but they were older and they were more
Yeah,
independent in hindsight. Now seeing this, I met Cheyenne and Jason when they were 9 and 11, right?
right.
So, but having a newborn, completely different Zell. We get home from the hospital, and I remember turning to my mom, like, what is going on with him? Because he was just like frantic. He went to Walmart the first week that he was home, the first week Lucky was home, he went to
Uh-huh.
Walmart, Walgreens, Target. I looked at the bills, the statement, and he spent like $2,500. We had a huge ass baby shower. Okay, I have 40 women, not men. 40 women
Yeah,
at my baby shower. We got a
that's a
lot of
lot.
stuff. We are blessed.
Yes.
Okay. This man went and bought $2,500 more stuff for Lucky as a newborn.
Oh,
Because
Zell.
all of a
Oh,
sudden,
that's so
all
funny.
of a sudden, he didn't like this. He didn't like this. We need this. And I had to cut him off when he was like, we should get a diaper or a baby wipe warmer. And I was like, no, the baby's gonna be fine. Stop.
I
So
love
he
it though. Look at him. All concerned. He's like, no, my baby does not need cold wipes on her hiney.
so I was like, what is going on? Who are you? And he said, well, you
Right?
don't know this about me, but I'm a helicopter dad. And it all made sense.
You're like, wait, what now? Oh my
So
goodness.
he is. He's if for those who don't know, understand the reference, helicopter mom, helicopter dad, hovers. And he's still this way, like Lucky got a scratch on her arm. What happened? What's a full report? And I'm like, she's a kid, like stuff happens. Um, but even with that, when you have
That's
kids,
hilarious.
that they say that transforms people. Oh my gosh. I I met a whole new person the day my
Yeah.
daughter was born.
Yeah.
And I adore it. I would much rather a helicopter dad than a out of sight, out of mind man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Definitely.
part of it also going back to that communication stuff and being deliberate. I had to ask. I was just like, what's going on? Because you
Yeah.
are just like obviously something has shifted. You are different.
Yeah. You're over the top, bud. And you weren't like
Yeah.
this with your other two kids. I didn't see this.
No. And I said that to him. I was like, you weren't like this with Cheyenne and Jason. He was like, well, when we met, they were 9 and 11. They can articulate, I'm hungry. I want this or whatever. Lucky
Yeah.
she's a baby. And he even admitted, and this would probably be a great conversation one day, but he even admitted having Lucky at an older age and just where we're at now in life is just a whole different experience than when he had Cheyenne and Jason I mean, he was 20, 20, or no, he was 19 when he had Cheyenne and then 22 when he had Jason, 21 when he
Yeah.
had
He was
Jason.
young. He was a young
Babies.
dad.
Yeah, babies having babies. And so he's obviously grown and evolved a lot since then, but yeah, heads up. They say people change with kids, they're not lying.
Mark and I did not have kids together, but I can see we would have had slight different parenting styles,
Mm,
even with Milan.
mm.
And so that would have been a whole nother can of worms that we would
Oh
have went
man.
through because being a single mom and I had
Mhm.
control.
Right.
Yeah, it would be very hard for me to give over control or
Yeah.
share control with my husband. So
No, it's a it, I've said to him, "You're making this harder for me." Like, and that just sounds so selfish because I'm like, "You're just gonna make this harder for me."
hello,
Like,
hello.
but as
Okay.
mamas, you're the nurturer. And it's just naturally that's what happens.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear otherwise if someone has anything to share, but typically that's just the dynamic. So Lucky Falls, mommy, or something, whatever. I feed you food. We're gonna eat?
yeah,
I gotta
yeah.
figure it out. So some things he's like, oh, she can have ice cream, and I'm like, no, she can't. No, she can't.
No,
We haven't eaten dinner yet. Like
no.
we have a routine. Why are you breaking the routine? And
Don't
it
do
all
that.
goes back again to communicating because even as you add in children, they're watching you communicate in your relationships.
That's so true.
You are showing them how to communicate with other relationships and the
Yeah,
long term. I mean, think about it, Jennifer. So many, at least for me, so many stories that I have made up in my mind about relationships have
yep,
evolved from witnessing my parents in their relationships.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I'm so cognizant of how he and I communicate, even when we disagree. And I'm like, she's watching us. Like, she is
Yeah.
watching us right now. And that's not to say we don't make mistakes and that things don't get heated. I mean, that's natural also. But I think for us, adding that extra layer definitely just helps us be a lot more cognizant and deliberate.
Yeah.
Excuse me, be a lot more deliberate and direct.
Hmm.
Because I want Lucky to always ask for what she wants. You know what I mean? I don't want her tiptoeing,
Yes.
later on in life. I want
Yeah.
her, and I know we're gonna have a whole episode talking about this, being an alpha female, but I know I'm one. I know you consider yourself one. Um,
We don't
I,
make ourselves small, not even for our
no,
husbands.
no.
No.
Mm-mm. And because at the end of the day, I want her to be able to stand strong on her own, and communicating is a big part of that. No matter what. No matter what
Huge.
relationship status you're in.
Yep. I totally agree with you 100%. And yes, your children are watching, and how you handle your current relationships is probably what you saw in the past from your parents or lack thereof. Maybe you were raised in a
Mm.
single family household, you didn't have your dad and or mom. So that's going to affect heavily how you interact and how you show up in your current relationships. That's why I always say you have to do the work on yourself
Whew.
before getting into a serious relationship. And I stand by what I say. Do not get into a serious relationship in your 20s.
Mm.
And so when people are like, well, how are you supposed to find somebody? Because what society says is you go to college, you meet somebody, you get married, you have children, your career. And I say, debunk that, because that's why a lot of these relationships end in divorce. You don't know who you really are. And like you're saying, you're evolving every day. But at least in your 30s, you have more, I feel, of a solid foundation. You
Yes.
figured
Oh
out
yeah.
kind of what your hot buttons are. You
Mhm.
kind of figure out what your triggers are. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because you
Oh.
dated, you know,
Mm.
and you may have dated in a long term relationship. But I hate when I hear girls saying, "Oh, I want to be married by the time I'm this age," and I went, "Girl, okay, good
Mm.
luck."
No, I think the 20s is really to have fun, and I did that. I didn't get married to Zell until I was 29, 28 or 29. So I was at the
Okay,
end of my 20s.
yeah,
Um excuse me, but even then when he and I met, I was very deliberate. I was in a point in my life. I met him when I was 25, but I was just like, I'm tired of tiptoeing, trying to read you and figure you out and your
right.
intentions. So I'm going to make my intentions clear. And I told him, he says he doesn't remember this, but whatever. I said to him
Of
on our first
course you
date,
did.
of course you
Mhm.
don't remember. But I said to him on our first date, "Look, I've had a lot of fun, but I don't want to have any more fun. I want something real. I want something long term. I want something with longevity. And I'm looking for something for growth." And he was like, and I said, and I don't know if that's with you, but I'm just letting you know that's what I'm looking for in terms of
Yep,
dating right now.
yep,
And I did that before him with other men, boys,
yep.
really, and they exited, stage left. They were looking for something, else. Y'all know what I'm
Exactly.
talking about. But
Yes.
he, again, he says he doesn't remember, but he stuck around because, again, I made my intentions very clear. And I
Very
think,
clear.
again, those intentions and those expectations and communicating them really, like you said before, even like with you and Mark, having that at the forefront can make a huge difference. You know what I
Huge.
mean? It really just, I think it provides a level of ease in your relationship. Otherwise, I see some other individuals, and this is not a knock to anyone who's in this situation, where it's just like you're constantly trying to read this person and figure them out. What does this mean? It's like the freaking Da Vinci Code. Like, I just don't
Well,
have the patience for that.
I think for women, and what I've seen in the past, and with women asking me advice, men do a lot of times say what they want. You do get
Mhm.
some males, not men, you
Mhm.
get males who will play mind games and tell you one thing and do another. But a man will tell you, I'm just looking to have a good time.
You're right,
And
girl.
as a woman, we need to respect that. that
Mhm.
is his truth. And but as women, we're like, oh, well, I'm gonna change his mind.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna give it my best. I'm gonna knock him out with the sex. I'm gonna do this. And you're thinking you're gonna change this person. And then when they don't, then you want to get mad and be like, well, I did all this. Well, he laid out from you in the beginning. This is all he wanted.
Right.
And for some reason or another, if a woman doesn't register in their mind, because a lot of women don't know what they want either,
Mhm.
is what I have found. Um, if a woman can show up just the way you did with Zell and be completely transparent and say, this is what I'm expecting and this is what I want. And if the man doesn't align with that, let it go. Or
Yeah.
vice versa. If the woman doesn't align with that for the man, let it go. A lot of
Mhm.
people have this scarcity mindset. They
Girl.
get this guy or girl and they have, oh my God, they're everything they wanted except for a few minor things, right? And they're willing to throw out those few minor things, which usually are huge on
Mm.
that list. They throw it to
Mhm.
the side because everything else looks good and they could deal
Mhm.
with the other stuff. I'm here to tell you that don't work.
No. I I agree wholeheartedly. I think you're absolutely right, and you're right. In hindsight, even some of these men that again, males. That's the perfect way to put it, because I don't want to discount them too much. But these males that I dated before Zell, there were actually a few who did me the honor of
Yeah,
telling me straight up,
yeah,
no, I can't be that for you. Not and it wasn't to the point where I was articulating that, but they would tell me like, "Hey, you have great potential or you're this and this and that.
yeah,
I'm not gonna be able to give you what you deserve." And I
right.
mean, and there were a few. I was there. Was in that mindset. I tried changing,
Yeah, we all did. I
and
know I
and
did.
and it was just like, again, in hindsight, I wish I could just go back and just shake it like, "Girl, don't even."
Yeah,
But you know what? At the same time, I'm thankful to have gone through those experiences because I think it strengthened me to be like, "All right, I don't have the tolerance for this anymore." You know what
yeah,
I mean? Um,
mhm,
like this is not gonna be my normal. I don't have time for this. I want more
right,
out of life. And
right.
so I think, if you're out there who you've gone through this, and you're finding that you're consistently running into these situations, I think it's important that you listen to the cues or the direct things that this person you're
Yes.
entertaining a relationship with, because like you said, some men, actually, I would say a nice amount of them are pretty
Honest.
straightforward. Yeah, they're pretty
Yes.
honest about it in terms of their intentions.
Yeah.
And then then it's just like, then you have to check it back to you. Are you being honest with yourself? You know what
Right.
I mean? Like,
Right.
check yourself. Like, are you
Right.
being honest with yourself in terms of your expectations?
Because you attract your energy frequency, whatever you're exuding out, whatever your
Mhm.
frequency you're sending out to the world, that's who's coming into your
Whew.
atmosphere.
Yep.
Okay. So that's when you have to start self checking yourself. So, why
Mhm.
am I attracting men that are not wanting to commit to me?
Whoo.
What
And
are you
sometimes we
putting
don't
out
wanna ask
there
these
that, yeah.
questions.
Yeah, those people don't stumble upon you like, "Oh,
No.
no. No,
Mhm.
that's just not the way the law of attraction in the universe works." So,
Yeah,
it's you gotta clean up all of your mindset, and that's our
you're
whole
right.
that is the point of our whole show is helping women and men. If you guys are on here, we're glad to help you too. But mostly women to change their mindset.
Yes. Yeah. No, and by shifting your mindset, you're now open and ready to take on the things that you really want in your life, whether it be your relationship, whether it be,
Mhm.
that business you want to start or that career you want to dominate, or, whatever it may be. I think all of
Yeah.
those things all start inside of you, inside of your
Yep.
mind. And,
Mhm.
bringing it back full circle, I think that you will find your relationships in any relationship, not even just marriage. I've noticed this with even family. Things are
Yeah.
a lot easier when you set the expectation. You can't control everyone else setting the expectation, but you can control you. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And it's not
Yeah.
about, you need to be walking around. airing out your dirty laundry or just being like cutthroat direct, but it's just being it's just being honest with yourself. Um and managing those expectations is important because I think some people are like, well, that's just who I am. They're aware of who they are, but then they start making excuses for it. Does that make sense?
Right.
You know what I
And
mean?
most
Instead
people
of doing
know.
the work, they
Yeah,
know. They know.
they
Well, that's
know.
just
They
how
have
I
that little
am.
voice that says, "This is who I am, but I don't really like it."
Right.
And it's
Right.
easier to say, "Well, this is just who I am," instead of doing the work and making certain corrections.
Exactly. And it all goes back to doing that work. And I think a lot of times people fail, I don't want to say fail, but they neglect wanting to own the fact that sometimes the miscommunication happening in their relationship may actually be coming from you because you're not doing the work.
Yourself, yeah. Yourself,
Yeah.
yeah. It is
Mhm.
human nature to want to point the finger at the other person.
Mhm. It is.
But
It
all the
really
other
is.
person is doing is reflecting back to you your actual issues that you have to
Whew.
work. Anything that
Yeah.
is taking you out of your alignment and triggering you
Mhm.
is you.
It is.
They're just
It
showing you
is.
the mirror. They did something that's the mirror, and you're like, okay, what about this person just triggered me?
No,
And how
I
can I work
I
on that within myself?
I wholeheartedly agree. I wholeheartedly agree. Man, I wish I had this when I was younger, but and I'm still working on it. I'm still
But
working
that's
on
why
it.
we're going to teach our daughters,
Yeah.
our grandkids, so they don't
Mhm.
have to go through these trials and tribulations. I mean, life should not be this difficult and challenging.
No, it doesn't have to
So
be.
if we can help these younger women not go through what we went through and
Mhm.
start really understanding their inner voice, really what makes them joyful and happy, a lot of other things will be easier in their life. But I
Mhm.
understand we've all had traumas, parents, school, different things that have happened in our lives that we carry with us and help us create the story that we want to keep on
Mhm.
repeat. Um,
Mhm.
we have to teach people, young people, how to address that and correct it if it's not adding and beneficial to their life.
No, I definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I know we got pretty deep on this.
we always do.
We always do. I'm hoping to hear your guys' feedback on this topic. So definitely share with us. And a great way to share your feedback is by actually leaving us a podcast review. So please, whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this on Spotify, Apple, or whatnot, please leave us a review. We love to hear any feedback that you want to share. It doesn't have to even be positive. We'll take constructive criticism because we about growing.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And if
absolutely.
there's
But
anything you want us to talk about, we want to
mhm.
hear.
Yes, please, please, please. We are open books. Hopefully, this was
Hmm.
helpful to someone today. It's always helpful for me. So
Me too. It just makes me know that I'm not alone.
I know, right? Look, at least we got each other.
Yeah. We're not alone in this. All
I
women need to
know.
stick together. We're not alone.
No, exactly, exactly. All right. Thank you guys so
All
much
right.
for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye.